Thank you. I know you sent it.
I was trying to look where they went. I guess he took all my copies.
I think it's warm. Yeah. Definitely warm.
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the Warren County Board of Supervisors meeting. Today's date is Tuesday, December 19th, 2023. It's 9:30 a.m. We're in our boardroom. Will you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have one agenda deletion. We're going to delete item number 8, the budget reports. Our budget director is home ill today, so we'll put that on our next meeting. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. The first item on our agenda today is the consent agenda.
I would move approval of the consent agenda items A through H as presented to us.
Okay. Can we do a roll call, please?
McIntyre?
Here.
Snell?
Here.
Heater?
Here. Okay, we do have quorum, and we do have a motion on our consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call on the consent agenda.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye.
Heater?
Aye. The consent agenda is approved. The next item on our agenda are the claims.
Well, the thing that kind of struck me was the volume of stuff, 1.235 million. It's a pretty big one. I didn't see anything that stood out necessarily, but
It's year end.
wow, this is a pretty big claims report.
It's year end. I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
I'll second. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye.
Heater?
Aye. Claims are approved. Let's see here. Next item on our agenda is to consider the approval of a Class C retail alcohol license for County Line Tap with possible action.
I have talked with the owners of the County Line Tap. They are actually here today, and they are aware that some concerns have been expressed about their establishment and how they're interacting with neighborhoods. And maybe, Tanya, would you like to come up and at least, just tell us a little bit about your business and what's going on, and maybe what prompted these concerns from the neighborhood?
Sure. My name's Tanya Suarez-Tigner. My husband and I...
Could you please put the microphone down?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Tanya. This is my husband, Brian. We own the County Line Tap. We purchased the property some time ago, and January 1st of last year, we started operating the business. So when we purchased the property, there was a tenant that we had to evict for non-payment, and I believe that the issues with the neighbor stem from that. But we are here to represent our business and comply and discuss whatever is necessary to move forward. I do have an establishment in Des Moines. It's called Ceviche Bar. It's been there 10 years. It's a Cuban concept, and so we have been in the business for some time. This is what we do for a living, so.
You're also Warren County residents yourselves, otherwise, aren't you?
That's correct, yes. We reside in Norwalk.
Yeah. So the concerns that were expressed to us really dealt with disorderliness and noise. We do not have a noise ordinance in Warren County. That was one of the things that, as I was talking with some of the constituents that were raising concern about your establishment, they were not interested in necessarily shutting you down. That was not their intent. Their intent here was to make sure that you're aware that there are some disruptions in the neighborhood, so the peace and tranquility of the neighborhood is being disrupted here
Okay.
during, and so as a result, your license comes up. This is something we have to do as elected officials. We're supposed to respond to
Sure.
the concerns that are expressed to us. And so that's why we needed to have you come and talk to us a little bit and help us to understand what's really going on with your business.
Absolutely.
And what the relationship is here with the neighborhood and the tranquility of the neighborhood as well.
Okay.
Maybe you could address some of the issues as far as, there may be some things that are being attributed to your business that I'm not sure are your business per se.
I would agree with
There
that.
have been some disruptions where we've had law enforcement involved. I don't know if it's necessarily a direct result of your business, but it's being attributed to your activity and your establishment. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what do you do that, involves, who are your customers that are coming there? How does that relate to the drag racing or what other loud noises that are coming out and are there at your location?
Okay. Would you like to speak?
I'm Brian Tigner, by the way, so
What's the last name?
Tigner Tigner. I would, if you want, we've watched the video of the previous meeting, and we followed up on each and every point that was made. First and foremost, we are here today to comply and work with the neighbors. That's the goal. So we could move forward with the meeting, and I have a stack of papers of each and every, what they call trip calls, and those have been run down and established that exactly what you are possibly suggesting, Mr. Snell, they were not all attributed to us.
Right.
In fact, 95%, when the leads are run down, they were just random calls. The one OWI in a year was a Des Moines officer that followed a car from Southridge Mall area, and the stop was made at our place. I have that paperwork I brought today. The end of the meeting, I can pass that off. But with that being said, we want to take every and all precaution that we can do to make sure that we keep peace in the neighborhood. I think there's probably a few things that could be done. First and foremost, us just keeping a better eye on it. Secondly, there was a previous owner, the Woods, that is mentioned in the letter that was provided to you all by Rich Quigley and Charles Hunt, who was the individual at the last meeting that expressed the majority of the concerns. So we tried to reach out to Mr. Hunt. He didn't provide an address. What we did find is that his address and Quigley's is one. So Mr. Quigley owns a property 2 doors down from ours. Charles Hunt rents from Mr. Quigley. So there's just one address, one complaint. We have 2 other closer neighbors that have been there since 1958, as long as the tap has been there. And none of them are pressing the issue. Again, we're here today to work through the issues, answer any questions you have, circle back on things, whatever's needed to be done. But I think after meeting Tanya and I today, you'll get a different perception than maybe what was at the first meeting. We are running a bar. You've expressed you live in Norwalk. I'm assuming some of you live in Indianola, or all of you live in Warren County. I said I wasn't going to do this today, but I said, okay, well, I'll bring up the garage, and we'll bring up the sports page, and we'll bring up these places. And do you remember Indianola's bike night on the square? And now it has moved to Bondurant, and people are on the fence about it. We want it back for the revenue. We don't want it back because the bikes are loud. Okay, we run a bike night. Okay, in the summers, it's on a Tuesday night. We're thinking of moving it to a Friday night. We're thinking of getting rid of it total after this meeting. But in any event, I just thought to myself, I was like, well, we need to come and just handle what's on the table. And I think Mr. Heater had said something in the video that I think will pertain to this. We will circle back on this issue. These are the types of things that, you generally have to circle back on because they can, to use your words, they can re-escalate, they can go down. It's winter, things will be cricket quiet probably until June. If we're lucky, we'll get one party bus a month. And what I mean by that is we are in the bar business. We've been there, the bar's been there since 1958. We've just bought it a year ago. Is it louder this year than last? We don't know. Possibly so. We know that the complaint came from an individual that was very fond of the last proprietor, and that causes a little bit of conflict for us, not the board, but for us. We're like, hey, that was weird how in the video he mentioned how fond he was of the last proprietor and that they moved and he wanted to share with y'all where their new location was at. And that was a little different for me because it seemed like it was coming from a place that maybe compounded his, his position. But maybe it didn't. But I need to shut up. I've had a lot of coffee this morning, so I will let you all talk.
You didn't stop at your bar ahead of time then?
No, I did not. No, I don't. No, not until 3 o'clock. So, we will just stay right with you guys. And Mr. Hunt and Quigley, I've passed on our contact and information. I'll try to get that to them.
Okay.
Open door policy. Our phone number.
I would like to mention though, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, Brian, but we've never had contact with Mr. Quigley or Mr. Hunt.
Okay.
So, I'm more than happy. We're going to provide, and we have provided our cell phone number, which is our direct line. We're more than happy to address any issues he has, but I just didn't want you to think, based off what was said in the last meeting, that we had any contact with him, because we are professional and we would not have that type of interaction with someone.
Well, and I think one of the concerns that was expressed, you may have had some personnel that work for you that maybe unfortunately had an encounter with these individuals as well that was not real positive. So you may want to address some personnel issues too with your establishment.
And unfortunately, we have gone through a couple members of our staff. It is hard to retain employees right now, so I would bet they're no longer with us.
And
But I'm not sure who that individual was.
Direct contact would limit that. So the Mr. Hunt needs direct contact with us. He should never have to deal with that. He can give me a call night and day. If he's got an issue, I'll be Johnny on the spot.
Okay. Well, we just need to talk about that because it's brought to our attention.
Yes.
We're doing our responsibility
Absolutely.
to look into it here.
No problem. We're glad you brought it to our attention.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
I have a question. I'm sorry. What I'm hearing today is you don't necessarily acknowledge that your establishment is loud or you're having wild parties there and keeping people up at night. Like what I'm hearing is, nothing's really changed much. We don't know if it's louder this year versus last year. What are you doing to keep the peace in the neighborhood? Like, have you scaled back events? What I wanted to hear today is, hey, the peace in the neighborhood is the ultimate priority. It absolutely is number one. We all own businesses. We know businesses. I mean, to me, business should be right up there with keeping the peace.
Yes.
I get being in business, but what I don't understand is keeping people up at night, loud parties and disrupting people's peace of mind. And that's what I heard at the previous meeting. But I'm not hearing today that, hey, we're figuring out how to get the neighborhood peaceful. What you're saying is, we got a person that's got a personal beef from us that's related to something different. So I don't even hear you acknowledging that there is a peace issue in your neighborhood. And maybe there's not. I just want to make sure I'm clear on that.
We haven't been able to, first of all, we didn't get a notice. We never received a citation. The first we heard of this was the last meeting. So we didn't until then have an opportunity to take a look at what Mr. Hunt's issues were. Now that we've had an opportunity, the letter that I've passed off to Snell is that we will be keeping an eye on it. We will most definitely make sure that there is peace in the neighborhood. That's why we said maybe on a sidebar at some point, we need to establish a guideline, a bar somewhere, with no pun intended, a bar, with this challenge in Warren County that y'all speak of a lot. Say, well, there is no sound ordinance. We're saying that in order to move forward, maybe we do establish something. I'm good with that. Maybe we do set an unmarked, Des Moines, if they have these roads, that we have this auto shop that's down the street that Mr. Snell, I don't want to speak for him, but maybe contributing to some of this traffic. We have that was mentioned in the meeting as well. We're not associated. That's another business 3 doors down that may or may not be, part of Mr. Hunt's issue. So maybe we provide financially for an off-duty officer to sit one weekend or an unmanned, and we're with whatever you need us to do to make sure that there's peace in the neighborhood. But this is our first time of the last meeting was we didn't come because we've done this for 20 years. We don't go to our renewals. We have 3 in Des Moines, 1 in Warren County. We don't go to them. There's generally not an issue. So when this one came up, we've now done our research. I ran down all of the trip reports. 95% of them are not contributed to us. If we are louder than the previous proprietor and Mr. Hunt is feeling that, we want to address that. We want to help fix that for him.
Okay. And I think based upon what Mr. Hunt had shared with me, I think you had some personnel that were probably contributing in a big way to this situation. And I think it sounds like you've addressed that by maybe not having that person involved with your establishment anymore. So I think that is an important factor that we needed to look at.
Noted, and will continue to be looked upon.
Okay, great, thank you for that.
Thank you for coming in.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Any other?
I think that this is, obviously, we're doing our duty as elected officials here to review these concerns. I am satisfied that we have talked with the people involved, and if anything that's maybe come out of this will be maybe an opportunity for the neighbors to talk to one another in hopefully a positive way. And it's brought to light some other issues here that I think are not necessarily, I think they're being attributed to this particular business that are not necessarily wholly their responsibility.
Right.
So with that, I would move approval of the renewal of their liquor license.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. The liquor license is approved for County Line Tap. Thank you for being here again.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is a public hearing regarding the City of Norwalk North River Sanitary Sewer Interceptor Project located along the North River Corridor near Iowa Highway 28. Okay.
Thank you. I'm Luke Paris, I'm Community Development Director
Hang
for
on
the City
just
of
a second.
Norwalk.
I'll make a motion to go into public hearing.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. We're now in public meeting.
Okay.
Welcome.
Yes, thank
You would
you.
think, I do these things all the time for a living. You'd think I would have thought that.
That's okay.
So anyway, I'm Community Development Director for City of Norwalk, Luke Paris. We are here on a public hearing regarding our North River Sewer Interceptor Project. I have Bill Martin here from EOR that is doing a lot of the engineering work. He can answer details for you. We included some maps for you all. I think he has some as well. Essentially, we're making a extension of the North River WRA sewer from its current point south of Norwalk near our lagoons to the west. And That immediate project is going to serve the Norwalk's new certified site area, but eventually it has the capacity to go on and serve right around 300,000 acres of potential ground all the way out into Madison County. So it's really a big piece of infrastructure. And as part of some of the initials of that, we've got some environmental work that we've got to do, and that's what Bill's been working on for us. So I guess I'll turn it over to him.
Yeah, thank you. Again, my name's Bill Martin. I'm with Emmons Olivier Resources. I'm a senior environmental planner. I specialize in NEPA reviews, National Environmental Policy Act reviews. And the impetus for the NEPA review for this particular project is that it does involve about 4.5 acres of ground that is currently enrolled in the Wetland Conservation Reserve Program through the Natural Resource Conservation Service. And in order for this sewer line to be built, that property needs to be taken out of the easement and requires the replacement in like kind of those wetland acres at some other location. And as the map shows, it shows the route in red. It also shows a purple polygon along the river that will serve as the mitigation for those removed acres. So what I hope to accomplish today is one or several things. First is to provide anybody the opportunity to comment on this project from an environmental, health, safety, socioeconomic, demographic perspective. If they have issues or concerns that need to be addressed in the environmental review. And I am preparing an environmental assessment for this project. We initially developed 4 alternatives. The city did the preliminary engineering on the 3 of the alternatives. 2 of the alternatives were found simply to be unfeasible from an engineering perspective. So we now are working from the preferred alternative, which is more or less that red line. There'll be some adjustments as the engineering moves forward, and the no action alternative. And the no action alternative is just an alternative that says that the NRCS does not have to grant this administrative action to remove the easement from a permanent, the permanent easement from the property, versus the preferred or action item, which is that 4.5 acres of ground currently enrolled in the Wetland Conservation Program through the Food Security Act will need to be removed and replaced. Okay. To date, we have completed a lot of our environmental reviews, environmental site assessments, contaminated hazard materials, wetlands, protected species, socioeconomic, environmental justice issues, have gone through various zoning and county, state requirements for this type of project. We have not been able to complete the cultural resource inventory and assessment and the kind of complementary tribal consultation process for this, because there is one piece of ground that is currently being negotiated with, and they have not allowed access until those negotiations have been signed off. So, and long and the short is that, this is a fairly undeveloped piece of ground. I know the city has long-term plans for development of this ground, especially from the line to the river, for floodplain buffer and recreational use. Is that right, Luke? Correct. Yeah, and so, and I think they are working with the NRCS on that. Overall, the habitat is pretty poor quality. There are a lot of invasive species. There's not a lot of intact community left there. The wetlands are pretty, there are some wetland, there will be some wetland impacts, but they will be temporary, and they will be, the corridor will be restored to wetland conditions after construction. That, or they'll be bored under using horizontal drilling techniques. So that's sort of the big picture, elevator speech of what we've done so far and why we're doing it. Again, I just want to open it up to any comments, concerns, issues that I need to be aware of as I develop this review. I'm interested in any kind of known developments or developments that might be occurring in this area that could be tied into this project, because I am interested in cumulative impacts, sort of this incremental impacts based on just continuing development and so forth. And 3, again, just, as part of the NEPA process, it's a very open public process that's engendered to get, input from as wide a source as possible. And so that's kind of why we chose this particular format to present this project.
Okay. So, makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any potential projects or growth in this area, but give me some time. I think reaching out to us, give us some time to think about this area and what potentially is going on or things we've heard. And Mark would probably have a lot more information than myself.
And I did write, as part of my scoping, I did write a letter to the zoning director
Good.
back in August, but I understand there have been some issues in that department, so I'm not surprised that I haven't heard back from him. But I have reached out to the zoning and public safety.
Okay.
What's interesting about this is with the city of Norwalk buying the land immediately adjacent to the county ground, it really creates a potential future park corridor. So while we're doing all this wonderful development here that's going to help open up lands to the north, in particular for the economic development, by the way, this is part of the ARPA project that we had approved through Norwalk. This is going to be a significant activity that really will impact Warren County in a positive way and along down the road. And we talked about it a little bit at another meeting where there's some other things that can go on as a result of this project.
Sure.
And especially as you look at the corridor development for the North River area, that potentially down the road could really be a very significant conservation area and be used for recreational purposes in a different way than what it is today.
Yeah,
right now, it's pretty inaccessible
Right.
with how it's set up. And I think going down the road in the future with what we're doing through the sewer project, it actually will probably make it more accessible in a positive way.
Yeah.
So.
And this project should not affect either conservation or recreational opportunities. So if that's, should those be an issue down the road, so.
I do have one question, because I've had quite a few constituents, and I don't think this is directly related, but I think it is tangentially related. And that is up off of 80th Avenue, there has been a very major sewer something been put in there, and people are not really knowing or understanding what all's. And I think I see where it maybe ties in here on the map, the multicolored map. Could you address that just a little bit, because I think...
Oh, you're talking about the map I sent, not the one that...
Yeah, with the one we have in our not this one,
Yeah.
but the other one.
the
The other one, the multicolored one, and I think it's maybe what you refer to as the purple line or something like that, it's known as ridge
Yeah.
line.
Do you have one of those? I can bring it out to you if you want to look at this.
I would say if you got a copy.
Yeah.
I would say I'll-
Is it this one you wanted to see, Mark? The
Yeah.
multicolored one? Just show them that.
So, right here, this ridge line, this one right here. Is that what we're seeing off of 80th Avenue?
So this ridge line, so this is literally, it's just showing the high point. So the black line is differentiating the different basins. So you have Middle Creek Basin, and then this is North River Basin. So everything south of that black line is gonna flow to all these blue.
But there's a
sewers. Yep.
major something that's...
And so then the thing off of 80th, to that regard, isn't related to the North River project.
It is not?
No, it is
Okay.
a lift station that will, there's an unnamed tributary that comes out of the capital city fruit area in Norwalk and then flows back to the east. And that goes all the way over to like Southwest 9th and Des Moines, R63 and all that, right? We have an annexation agreement with the city of Des Moines that says that a portion of that, at some point there's a, imaginary line out there in Warren County that says that'll be future Des Moines and the west side of that'll be future Norwalk. To serve the area around 80th with gravity sewer, there's like a 3.5 mile long gravity sewer line that would have to go through and then really be started by development that would happen in the future city of Des Moines area. So because we know that's a long-term out, we decided to invest in a lift station off of 80th that will provide more direct development ability in the city of Norwalk area. So basically everything gravity downs that drainage way out of the capital city fruit area to 80th, there's a low point there, and then it gets pumped back up that hill, so it comes down, and then it's gonna go back up into the gravity system that actually goes up the Middle Creek Basin that you have there.
And
So-
that doesn't necessarily
Yeah,
connect.
so I mean, eventually it all connects all the way back down closer to the WRA plant, but yeah, the capacity and everything that goes into that sewer is not going to be dumping directly into the North
Okay.
River. Sewer. Yeah. Yep.
Thanks for, that wasn't directly related.
Nope,
So, okay.
no
Thank you.
problem.
Are there any other discussions or questions? We really do appreciate your approach of
Yes.
bringing us up to speed, and our zoning director, I believe, is in the building, so if you want to try to touch with zoning while you're here today, it might be easier.
Okay,
So,
all right, all right.
but with that, I'll make a motion to go out of public hearing.
Second.
Did you have want the public to weigh in, or?
Oh,
if they
yeah,
have
is there
any-
anybody from, the pub- yeah, thank you, Crystal. That's the whole purpose of a public meeting, isn't it? Is there anybody from the public that would like to talk about this project or has any questions or concerns relative to what we're doing?
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's nice to meet you, Luke.
Okay, I'll make a motion to go out of public hearing, please.
Second?
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Snell,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye. So we're now back in our regular meeting. Okay. Okay, the next item on our agenda is a public hearing for a fiscal year 2024 budget amendment.
I'll make a motion to go into public hearing.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Snell,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye, so we're now in a public meeting. Megan Minor was unable to be here today due to illness. So what we're trying to do is approve our budget amendment, which is in our packet and it's been published. And we've had a couple of meetings on this budget amendment, so are there any questions from the Board of Supervisors?
No.
No question for me.
Okay. Any motions to approve the budget amendment?
We're in a public hearing right now.
Oh, yeah, let's end the public hearing.
Okay.
Well, do you have any?
Is there anybody from the public that would like to talk about the budget amendment? Have any questions, concerns? Okay.
I'll make a motion to go out of public hearing.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Snell,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye. So we're back in our regular meeting?
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve our FY24 budget amendment as presented.
Second.
Roll call?
McIntyre,
Aye.
Snell,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye. The budget amendment has been approved for fiscal year 2024. Item number 6 is to consider the approval of Warren County Conservation's plan to fund repair and resurfacing of the Great Western Trail with a grant from the Transportation Alternatives Set-Aside Program with possible action.
Good morning.
Mark. Good morning.
Morning, Mark.
So yes, I previously talked to you about this TAP grant application in a work session. We did make the application with Polk County Conservation Board in the amount of 1.5 million. Excuse me. So now I need a resolution. If you would consider the resolution I have in front of you to fund the project up front, cover our costs, and then seek reimbursement from Iowa DOT. So there's that, and then I gave you a breakdown. This was the page that came out of the grant application. It shows the breakdown of costs.
I don't see that page.
But we don't have that paper in front of us today. You may have.
Yeah, I laid it up there earlier.
It's right here, from Iowa DOT.
Yeah, from the Iowa DOT.
Okay.
That's one page out of the TAP grant. You see in left-hand column, those are all the costs of the grant, total project cost. So it's $2,154,000 that we're going to be working on between Warren and Polk counties. Column 2, that lists all of the out-of-pocket costs. That's what we are going to be paying out of pocket. And this is where that relationship with Polk County Conservation Board is paying off greatly for us, because they're going to pay $461,000 out of pocket for construction and $118,000 out of pocket for their engineering. So all those out-of-pocket costs just increases our chance of getting the grant. So it's a $1.5 million ask. Our 20% match would be $300,000. So Warren County will have to come up with $150,000. But the resolution I'm asking for is to cover all the upfront costs. Because we are going, I told you earlier, we're going to be the lead agency in this. So all the paperwork and all the funding goes through Warren County.
Okay.
And then I also gave you, just for your knowledge, the really fine print page. That is from our engineer.
Snyder.
And they broke down the projects, the trail rehabilitation, into 7 projects. I apologize for the small print, but the first column, number 1, that will be the project we're going to be working on. So this is nice because it'll actually show you what's coming up, the total project cost.
And again, can you remind us how many miles this covers on the trail?
This project will be, and then that first one is 1.47 miles.
Yep. Just want the public to be aware.
Yeah, our COVID relief grant we got, it covers 1.8 miles, and the total project was $752,000.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So I don't know if you have any questions about the funding.
No.
You will see on column 3, those are our costs that go towards the grant. Now, what I did do, Polk County is going to pay all their engineering, the preliminary design engineering and their construction engineering out of pocket. Conservation Board isn't prepared to do that, so we're going to split the $75,000 on the preliminary design engineering with Polk County. Most of their engineering has already been completed, so we're going to pay $50,000 of that $75,000, and they're going to pay $25,000. But the $71,000 in column 3, that is our construction engineering, and I rolled that back, and we're going to pay with grant dollars for that engineering, because we don't have the out-of-pocket costs. And that is acceptable. I prefer not to, because it adds another layer in the grant. Just more work, but we don't have the money, so. You can do that.
Well, thank you for saving that money.
You bet.
So take me through the just general, the money flow process of exactly how things would work here. So in essence, we're trying to do the right thing by putting some kind of seed money up front.
Right.
To compel whoever authorizes the grant to authorize it to us.
Right.
Once that's authorized, we're going to go back with our seed money and get that redistributed back from the Department of Transportation.
Right. The design engineering you have to pay up front. So we do have that. But Polk County was prepared to do this project on their own.
Okay.
And then when I started making that relationship with them, we decided to do a joint application. Mm-hmm. So they're using their $461,000 in construction costs just as leverage. But yeah, it does. It makes the grant look a lot better when they have those out-of-pocket costs covered.
Okay.
So yeah, you'll pay the upfront costs. And then I will take, once we've paid the contractor for the project, I'll take the canceled check, I'll turn it in, I'll turn in a reimbursement form to DOT, they'll send us a check back. So you'll be out that money for as long as it takes for the contractor to receive payment, for me to get the canceled check, and it takes
Okay.
14 days about, on average, to get reimbursed from DOT.
Okay.
So,
So really no net out of pocket ultimately at the end of this?
no, just the Conservation Board's budget.
Okay, excellent. Okay.
I will make a motion to approve the Warren County Conservation's plan to fund, repair, and resurface the Great Western Trail with a grant from the Transportation Alternatives Set Aside Program.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Can we get roll call, please?
McIntyre?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. The motion is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Mark?
Okay, the next item on our agenda is to consider the approval of the upgrade proposal with Tyler Technologies Incorporated with possible action. Good morning, Matt.
Morning. Well, as you know, we have a old version of Tyler, and so we've been negotiating with them for over a year now, trying to come up with the best possible solution. And the best solution at the moment continues to be what we currently have, which is an on-premise system. And initially, they thought that we would want to go to the web, but the complications with integration of tax, GIS, and that has proven to be a challenge for Tyler. So it's best for us to keep this in-house. You have in your packets all the information. To give you just the high notes on it, we're looking at one-time fees that have increased to $65,650. This is for the project work and that which is included in the statement of work. The grand total on the annual fees are $111,751, which is a net savings of roughly $5,900. The statement of work, I don't really want to bore you with unless you have specific questions, but this does put a substantial burden on the IT department to set up servers and to coordinate with Tyler on testing, getting the databases to them, but it also requires departments that utilize Tyler, Eden, everything else throughout the project to validate and to test it that, in Kim's situation, is this what I'm looking for? Is this the result that I'm typically used to seeing? In property taxes, the same, the same thing. So it's going to include everybody who uses this product at some point down the line as we get this thing spun up. But the database conversion is done by Tyler, and it's all planned out in the statement of work. Do you have any questions?
No. This has been a long time coming.
And
Not just a year.
I can tell you that in negotiating it, the best deal that I was able to get is a 5% increase in their fees per year for their product.
Wow.
And since this is the largest ERP-based solution that counties use, that price tag does not scare me at all. So I can leave this with Michaela, and should you approve it, every place where a signature is required is marked with a yellow marker, right here.
Okay, so we're ready to make this big decision here?
Well, that's up to you.
So I was just going to address at least the situation that we've been challenged with in the near term, or is it is just going to be, we're going to be back here in 6 months or a year from now to talk more about this?
Pardon?
I said, are we going to be back here 6 months or a year from now saying that this is not working right, or is this going to address the problems that we've really identified?
This should address the problems. We have already begun to to spin up the servers that are required by them, and so we're ready to engage with Tyler whenever you choose to go on with this. If you choose not to, that's up to you.
My understanding, this is, this basically deals with the nuts and bolts operation of our infrastructure for financial accounting within the county government structure.
Yes, absolutely.
But it really doesn't deal with our budgeting side of it. My understanding is that that's a totally separate deal. When we're doing our budgeting, forecasting, and things like this, this really is not going to address that issue, is it?
No.
Okay, I just want to make that clear.
It has components of the budgeting within it, yeah,
Yes, but
with
it
real
doesn't-
estate and,
Right.
yeah.
But the concern that was brought to us at the, I think in one of our work sessions, was that we're very fortunate that Megan, and as far as developing our budget system, does that through a different method than utilizing this. So hopefully this integrates at least somewhat with what we're doing otherwise to prepare the
Yes.
budget.
Correct. Yeah. There are additional softwares and,
I don't want people to think that we've solved all the problem, because this is not.
Right, right. This is
This is
just
only
an,
addressing the internal, what I'd say, nuts and bolts, hardcore data gathering and processing that's necessary.
That is correct, and the biggest benefit that the county auditor would see would be the elimination of a extremely old program that was written in an archaic language that essentially nobody likes using.
Yeah, okay.
Its functionality is of an older generation.
I would move that we approve the upgrade proposal as presented to us with Tyler Technologies. And is this need the board chair to sign on our behalf, or is it just,
Yes.
or is it all three of us?
The board chair.
And with authorization of the board chair to sign on our behalf.
second?
okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye. The motion is approved. Matt, thanks so much for all your hard work on this. This was a long time coming, this upgrade.
Yes.
And it's moving our county forward, so thank you.
Matt, real quick, how long has this version of Tyler been in use throughout the nation?
This particular version, as far as I can ascertain, goes back to 2013.
Okay, so a lot of the bugs you would hope are eliminated. We're not the guinea pig for it, put it that way.
We are not the lab rabbit. No.
Okay,
No.
great. All right, thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
Proven technology.
Yes.
Proven technology. Okay. So the next item on our agenda was the budget reports. That's been deleted. So that brings us down to the treasurer discussion, item number 9. Let's see. That is a public meeting. It's not noted here on our agenda. We do have to go to a public hearing for this, correct?
Not necessarily, I don't believe.
Doug?
Thank you.
I don't think it requires a public
Do
hearing.
we have to, do we have a choice on whether this is a public hearing or not?
I think we do because it's our own process.
Yeah, it's
but
ours, yes.
I will make a motion to go into public hearing.
Okay.
I'll do a
It was published for 10:30 a.m., correct? So if we're going into public hearing, I guess my question for our county attorney is, do we have to wait until 10:30 before we kick this meeting off if it was published at 10:30? And I'm happy to do that. I just need to let everybody know we're going to take an 8-minute break, and then we'll come back at 10:30.
Okay.
We can go into the other items.
Say again, Doug? 8-minute break. Okay.
Okay.
We can move down through and do some things. Okay, good idea.
Just postpone and go on to the other items first.
Okay. Let's do that. Good idea. Okay, next item is to receive and file the reports for general assistance, the Humane Society, and the Recorder. And is there anybody from those entities that would like to go over the report?
Recorder's here.
Okay, Recorder would. Jordan, good morning.
Good morning, Board.
Morning.
I have adjusted my report per your guys' instruction. You guys wanted to know more of what was being recorded, what kind of transactions were happening on a number basis, which I appreciate. So recording is down, and next month when I turn in my report, I'm going to do what last year, well, not fiscal year, calendar year looked like versus this calendar year. So we had 220 deeds recorded. We are in a renewal year for off-road vehicles, so we did 381 renewals and 45 new machines and or vessels. Passports, we did 93 applications and 107 photos. I did pull numbers from January 1st through December 18th for 22 and for 23, just so that we could gauge how much more we're doing with my additional staff. And we did, let's see the total of all of them. I totaled up the value. So last year in that time frame, we made $23,870. And this year we made $56,865.
More than doubled.
More than doubled.
Wow.
I am extremely proud of my girls. They have kept themselves busy. We have helped 1,525 more customers this year than we did last year. So
Wow.
it's not just a financial gain, it's a service gain for Warren County. So I am
Yeah,
very,
thank
very
you.
proud of my girls. They've done a fantastic job. I also found logs going back for vital records and marriages starting in 1997, and I categorized them and I coded them in a spreadsheet altogether. And we are 4 new marriage applications away from exceeding all the way back to 1997. So
Wow.
I'm very proud of my entire staff. They've worked so hard this year to help bring in revenue for our office, because we can't help what real estate comes into us. We can't help with who's buying and selling, and with the interest rates, thankfully, are starting to go down, but it's taken a toll on it. So the one thing that we can help, my girls have rocked at. So I'm very proud of that.
Me too.
Do you guys have any other questions regarding my report?
No, but just on the side, excuse me here. In terms of integrating and use of technology, do you attribute some of the changes you've made with adopting different form of technology to maybe the greater service level that you've?
We have a lot more time to do every one of our tasks really, really well, because we're not doing things 2 or 3 times. We're not doing everything on paper. We're not filing everything. We're actually working really hard. We have card index files that are based on people's names or their businesses, and we used to write on, or they used to write on, what book and page something was filed on. So if someone came in and they wanted to know all of the deeds that they had under their name, they would pull that card file, and it takes up a bit of space in my office. So right now we're working on a project where the girls are putting all of that information into an Excel document so that we can keyword search either the book and page or a name, so that we can find it that way instead of trying to go through card files that are sometimes out of alphabetical order. So that's just one example of it. But I think I shared in the budget meeting that we had that we were using a lot of paper. And I think we went through 208 reams of paper last year, and I think we're about 12 this year.
Wow.
Oh, that's
So,
dramatic.
and that doesn't come out of my budget, that comes out of your guys' budget, so.
Very
So,
good.
We're
Thank
we're
you.
getting through a lot of the hands-on, moving around the office, shuffling papers type of thing, into doing things that are shareable from one desktop to another, so.
Now, do you have to share with other departments in the?
Yes, there are several things.
How's that working in terms of moving?
really well. We stopped sending down physical documents to the auditor's office within, I think, the first month or two that I was in office, and that made less stuff for them to shuffle around, less stuff for me to have to make sure that I got that back the original of, because it's my office's responsibility to return those documents to the person listed on the document. And so we're not losing people's originals. They're going out in the mail to them the next day at the latest, sometimes the day of. If people are at our counter and they're filing something and they are listed as a return to, we scan it and we send it back with them so they don't have to wait for it to come in the mail. We don't have to pay for the postage. It's a win-win for everybody.
Fabulous. Very good. Thanks for the efficiency.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you, Jordan.
Yep.
Very much.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? No?
All right.
Okay,
Thank
great
you.
job.
Have a great Christmas, you guys.
Oh,
Merry
thank you.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Do we have anybody from the others, either general assistance or humane?
Probably not.
Let's see.
I don't see anybody else here.
All right, I'll make a motion to receive and file reports from General Assistance, Humane Society, and the Recorder.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can we get roll call, please?
McIntyre?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye. That motion is approved. Okay, so we're just about a minute away from 10:30. So just give it about 30 seconds, and then we can be legally get going and get started on the treasurer's discussion. We're good? Okay. Okay, so as many of the public knows, many of our leaders in Warren County know that Julie Doherty has resigned her position as the Warren County Treasurer, so it's incumbent and required by law for the Board of Supervisors to appoint somebody, since it's in the middle of her term, and we need to complete the role of treasurer within the county up until the next election. So that's what the Board of Supervisors is trying to do. And in that process, we've went out to the public and asked for candidates and asked them to turn in some information relative to their background and resumes and that type of thing. This isn't a formal job interviewing process, but it, as an effort to be as transparent as possible, we're trying to do this process in public. So we've had several meetings up to this phase, and now we're at the phase where we review the candidates, and if we can get to a point today, we'd like to appoint a candidate. So that's what's going on. So we have two candidates that have applied. Cinda Homer she's a Warren County employee, and Andrea Semple, who's been in the Treasurer's Department for a while. I'm going to go ahead and read a letter from our current treasurer, Julie Doherty. This was written on December 19, 2023. Dear Warren County Board of Supervisors, I am writing to give you my professional recommendation regarding the appointment of the interim Warren County Treasurer. Andrea Semple has worked for me in the Warren County Treasurer's Office for a total of 9 years, advancing from clerk to supervisor to second deputy, and is currently first deputy. When I hired Andrea, she told me right up front that she wanted to be treasurer someday. With that statement in mind, I have mentored and trained her in as many areas as possible, primarily in the vehicle department, with some training in the property tax and driver's license divisions. Following retirement of my other deputy in April of 2023, we have been training more specifically on treasurer and management duties. As deputy treasurer, Andrea has already assumed a leadership role. She is a professional, a quick learner, and a team player. She has a friendly personality, she is always up for a challenge, and she loves her job. She is the primary trainer in the vehicle division, and she is very patient with new staff, as well as with her customers. Andrea is a longtime resident of Warren County and is committed to serving our community. She and her family are well-known, in good standing, and very active in many areas of our community. I believe that Andrea's experience and her desire to provide excellent customer service will make her a great county treasurer, serving her constituents in a nonpartisan way. In my experience as an elected official with a hectic schedule and a lot of responsibility to the public, I understand the commitment it takes to be a great public servant. Andrea will bring her knowledge and dedication to this job. She has proven herself capable, and she is the best candidate for this appointment. Thank you for your time. Respectfully, Julie. What's that? We're not in a public hearing yet. Okay, I'll make a motion to go into a public hearing.
Second?
Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye, we're now in a public hearing. Okay, so at this time, I think, you have questions prepared for the candidates?
Well, what I would prefer that we do is like we've done before and have each of the candidates come up.
Yeah, go ahead, why don't you go ahead and request what you need?
Okay. I would like to have each of the candidates come forward, give us a little bit of an opportunity to hear from you personally as to why you think you should be appointed. And also then, following that time, we'd have maybe a little chance to do a little question and answer as part of that activity. I think in light of how we have it, just because it's placed in this order in our packet, maybe if we'd have Cinda Homer come up first, I would suggest that.
Okay.
And then if you could address, again, give us some personal background, tell us professionally what you've been engaged with, and tell us why we should consider you for the position.
Morning. So my name is Cinda. I've been with the county for 18 and a half years. I was hired in the treasurer's office in 2005. I did motor vehicle for 4 years, and then I moved on to property tax, which I was the second deputy and then the first deputy. In 2016, I then transferred to the assessor's office, which I have been there for 7.5 years. During my time in the treasurer's office, even prior to that, I was a title clerk at Noble Ford for 3 years. So I have 7 years in title work. Even when I was in the property tax department, I still maintained all my knowledge from motor vehicle, helped them out when needed. Was trained in the driver's license station just for being able to answer calls. I'd never issued a driver's license, but just to answer the phone calls for them because it's constant. So then I moved to the assessor's office, and just by being in there has given me opportunity to know how all the departments work together. Anything and everything is correlated somehow. I actually, about year 5 being in the treasurer's office, I also let Julie know that I wanted to be treasurer at some point. Before I took the job in the assessor's office, I let my boss now, Janet, know that that was my goal when Julie retired, and here we are. Granted, it's a little earlier, but that was also my plan, so that was a good 15 years ago, give or take.
Why don't you give us a little bit about your background, maybe education, and other types of things too?
Sure. I graduated from here, and then I went to DMAC and got a diploma in accounting and bookkeeping.
Okay.
How about your leadership skills?
I think I'm an open book, open-minded. I can take criticism if they want to give it to me. That's fine. I just want to be there for the people, the employees. I want to just be a co-employee with them also and be able to do things together, work together. I like to work smarter, not harder. So if there's an avenue that would work better, bring it to me. If I think of it, I would even ask, co-employees what they thought. Mm-hmm. I think I can do it. What
are some of the critical issues that you see, or or challenges that you see upcoming for the treasurer's office and things that that office may have to deal with in the future?
So since I have not been in there for 7 years, I don't know what's coming down the line on anything. But obviously I would look into it when it happens. The one thing I would say, like, you're kind of discussing maybe like the appointment system. I think it's great. I think Julie Darty did a great job doing that. I worked the 4 years with constant lines, people very upset. I think it's great. There's a tweak I would do, which is something as simple as just for renewals, having a window open at all time for renewals. Granted, you can do it online. Most stuff you can do online. Older people are not going to, and that's fine. But I think Julie's done a great job with that office. I think she's got a great staff now. I know there's been overturn, but it happens. But I think it's on the right path.
In terms of, from a supervisory perspective and things like that, can you give just a little background of your experience in a supervisor type role, if you've had one?
Yeah, prior to being at Noble Ford, I was in 2 different other positions where I was the office manager. So I was in charge of everyone that worked below me. South Central Youth and Family Services, if you guys remember that, was kind of part of the county. I was office manager there, did the payroll. I did all the paperwork, so it's kind of even like an HR. And then I went to Prevention Concepts, which is also a nonprofit in the same kind of genre, and was office manager there and did the same thing.
How do you get better? How would you get, what would you implement? What systems would you put in? What type of things could you do or would you do, given an unlimited budget, to make the treasurer's office better?
I think the biggest thing, it needs to be bigger. This is a big county. It's gotten big. It's probably going to keep getting bigger. I think it needs to be a little bit bigger, a little more private for driver's license. I mean, you're standing right next to somebody telling them your weight and everything. Some people don't care, but it's not very private. So a bigger space. I'm all about knowledge. Any trainings. I love to have facts. I love to research. I'll read the code if I have to. There's just, I think everybody needs the knowledge and be able to go to any meetings and every meeting that's possible and talk to other counties, see how they do it, which I know the treasurer's office does that. Julie goes to very many meetings where they have a round table and you talk with other counties and discuss policies and how you do certain things. Granted, it all should be done the same way, but it's 99 counties. It's not going to happen.
You realize that the appointment's just until
Correct.
a year from now.
Correct.
So then whoever we appoint will have to run for election next
Correct.
year. If you were appointed, would you run for the position?
Yes.
I don't have any other questions.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Thank you for your service also to the county. You've been
Thank
a
you.
longtime employee and very much acknowledged.
Thank you.
I think the next one then we'll have Andrea Semple, if you'd come forward and again, give us some of your personal background, why you think you'd be the right one for the position, and then we'll follow up with some questions.
I need to pull it down. Is that what you're telling me? All right. I started at the treasurer's office in December of 2014. Previous to that, I was in the annuity industry, so it was quite a change. I came because
I'm sorry, what industry was
the
that?
annuities, so
Annuity, okay.
investments. I came here because I wanted to be closer to my kids and make a difference in the community I was living in. I started out as a motor vehicle clerk, and as Julie stated in her letter, I advanced to supervisor, to second deputy, and now I am serving as first deputy. I just really have a passion for working with the community and making a difference. And most importantly, in my upbringing, it was important to my family to be part of the community. So I am trying to show my 4 kids the same thing, be part of the community in any way you can. Outside of work, I volunteer heavily with Girl Scouts. I've done that since my now 17-year-old was in kindergarten. So I'm on my 3rd troop there. I have 2 in it now. I also am heavily involved in the school PTO. So just making sure I can volunteer where I can and just be where I can at all times.
What's your, could you just go through some of your educational background and also what your supervisory roles may entail today?
Yep. So I graduated in Indianola in 2002. I then went to Indian Hills and obtained a 2-year degree, associate's degree with an emphasis in business and accounting. I did briefly go back for more accounting courses as I was older. I did not complete. It was just not the time or the place for that, raising kids at the same time. So that's kind of my background there. As far as supervisor, right now I oversee the motor vehicle specialists, the window clerks. I train them from
Hold on just a
You're
second.
good.
Sorry about that.
We're
Got it under
sorry,
control,
Andrea.
Michaela?
It's WebEx, yes.
You got a telephone call coming in there.
The Board of Supervisors are now adding mute music to,
There you go. Perfect. No, you're fine.
Sorry about that.
When they come in, I train them from kind of ground up. A lot of them come in without knowing pretty much anything. I've also helped the past couple clerks hire them, so go through the interview process and help pick the best candidates for the position. On a day-to-day basis, I will quality review the work they do. I am there to answer any questions they have, be a liaison when needed with the DOT, work heavily with the DOT investigator if he has questions for the department. Just basically, I'm there for them, and if the time arises where there's an upset customer, there to support them to make sure that customer is happy as best they can be.
well, you kind of touched a little bit on it, but I want to know some of your leadership positions that you've held.
So outside of the treasurer's office, before I was a subject matter expert at both of my previous companies, which is essentially kind of a leader without the leadership title. So I was the trainer at both previous jobs. I enjoy working with people and making sure they know what they're doing and how to do it correctly. That's just always been a passion of mine. So, and leading, a big part of what I do now outside as a volunteer is leading the Emerson PTO. I was president, I think, the last 3 years. I did step down this year and I am their treasurer, but, you know, leading somebody new in that position on what needs to be done, how to support the teachers, make sure we're getting community engagement activities, and working with the principal to make sure we're getting parents involved in the school.
Very important.
Can you talk about your budget experience and what you would do with your budget if it was unlimited to make the treasurer's office the best it could be?
My budget was unlimited. That's a big question.
And it never will be.
It never will be. I agree with Cinda. The office does need to be revamped. Like she said, driver's license is very close quarters and they are going over pretty personal information, as well as motor vehicle. I mean, people are coming into our office at times of need when they've lost a spouse. That's the biggest one, and people don't want they're explaining it to us, but yet the community can also hear if they want to, or giving driver's license numbers, and just maybe giving more space, making it more personable with them. One thing that we have noticed that's very minute, but we have mints at the Welcome Center, which really has kind of changed people's attitudes. They take them in and and magically they calm down. So just maybe implementing that at the windows, just, making, nobody wants to come to the government, nobody wants to give us their money, but making the experience the best we can.
Right.
Do you think we are, if people do not have an appointment and they come to the treasurer's office here in Warren County, do they get turned away today? Like, is that, and what can you do? I mean, can you assure the Board of Supervisors that no, they won't get turned away, or that somehow they'll get their business taken care of when they come, even if they don't have an appointment? Is that?
So Julie has a good system. It's grown from when we started with appointments. It used to be we were booked back to back, and it was hard to get people in. So there was people being turned away. Now we're at a good point where most people, if they call, they can get an appointment the same day. If they can't, I would say we are very accommodating. We try to help, the elderly or the farmers or the construction workers that can't make an appointment because they don't know their schedule. Kind of a caveat to that, what we're seeing now is we are also seeing a lot of Polk County residents come. So we are trying to get everybody in we possibly can. Now, if somebody comes in with 20 title transfers, that may not be feasible that day, but we will work with them to get them back in and make their stay as minimal as possible. I know you guys probably hear the bad. It would be great if we could record every person that comes in and says, I love the appointments, I can get in and out and not have to stand in line.
From a technology standpoint, what changes, if any, do you see either needing to happen or down the road coming into play in our situation here?
Technology, right now with the Qmatic, the system's great for that. Our software is great for vehicle side. I do see more, as Jordan was talking about, converting stuff. We still do some stuff by paper that we've gradually converted to online logs. Like, you return something, instead of going to a log to write it down, it's now online that you can log in from your computer instead of getting up, and just, moving more in that direction to get more things easier accessible and not having to get up and down so much.
Do you see a day when people won't need to even come in? They can just do everything online?
I don't. I think we'll always have people coming in. A lot of the title transfers and motor vehicle stuff has converted to being able to do it online. I'm not certain if that will ever happen for community members, as far as if you go purchase a vehicle from somebody, being able to submit it electronically. It might. That's what the world's kind of coming to. But I think ultimately there's always going to be someone that has to police that paperwork and make sure they're doing the right.
Yeah. And just like the previous question from Mark to Cinda, that this is an appointment, and next year you'll be up for election. Do you plan on running?
Yes.
That one? Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions from the Board of Supervisors? Okay, Andrea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Okay. Is there anything else in the public meeting that you want to do?
I don't know.
Close out the public meeting and have a discussion?
Yes, I would move that we close the public hearing, public session.
I don't know, we usually hear from the public. I don't know if you want to do
I don't know
that or
what the
not.
process is, like if you want the public to weigh in now. It's fine.
If people wanted to, if they're
Let's just
if
do
they're
it.
here and they want to talk,
Yeah.
sure.
Is there anybody from the public that'd like to discuss the treasurer's position?
Good
You
morning.
didn't think you'd ever be in front of this board again, did you?
Yeah.
Here you are.
Too much of it lately, but
Put a limit on what-
Yeah, just a couple minutes per person, please.
I'll make it real quick. I'm Sean Westrom, 4248 R57 Highway, Norwalk. I just wanted to recommend Andrea. I think it's important that we have somebody with current experience that knows people at the Iowa DOT and knows all the systems. That's got good connections there. I heard Julie talk about her being a good problem solver. I think I've given her some decent problems to solve, and she's always done it for me. closing out this year, we'll have gone through 600 titles, and she's always made everything work for us. All our customers get titles, everybody's happy. I've watched her train all the employees basically from the ground up, and I think she's current and ready to go into that, and I think that's important that you have somebody that knows everybody move into that position, so that's all basically.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to present? Is there anybody online that would like to say anything? Okay.
Okay.
I'll make a motion. Oh, go ahead, Crystal.
Oh, no, I was just going to make a motion to go out of public hearing.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye.
Heater?
Aye. Okay, we're now in our regular meeting. Guess I just roll out to the Board of Supervisors if you're ready and prepared to make a decision, if you're ready to appoint, or you'd like more time.
I think I'm in a position where I think if we have a little dialogue here at the table, I could make a decision here now. I will say this, I think both of the candidates, I'm very, very pleased that we have worthwhile individuals who are willing to step forward and that are already with our Warren County government. And I think it's admirable that everybody has taken it seriously and put their name into the consideration here. And it's never easy when you have to choose to make a decision as far as one person versus another. But I think I just want to compliment everybody who has put their names in here, both Cinda and Andrea, and thank them for their service to the county and to the citizens of Warren County in particular. I do think it's important to have leadership skill, and I think there's demonstrated leadership skills on behalf of both the candidates. But I think also being current with where we are with our current service delivery model and our system is really an important thing. And I think being currently involved with personnel matters and being able to lead a staff actively right now is probably an important thing as well. So I would tend to lean towards the current first deputy in the treasurer's office as my choice, not because they don't necessarily have comparable skill sets, but I think being current in the position and also currently involved with the personnel and others that are running that office and delivering the service is very, very, very important. And that's kind of where I am at this point.
Well, I'm also looking at the politically part of this, which is they're dealing with the public on a very regular basis. And having those connections with the public is really important. And that will carry over to next year when you decide to run. So we received quite a number of referral letters for Andrea, and that has weighed a lot on my decision. So.
Yeah, and I just concur with the other supervisors that it's nice having two very, very qualified and serious candidates for the position, and the fact that they're Warren County employees is good. I do think that critically, the Treasurer's Department they're the most critical department we have when it comes to relating with our public. Of all the public that comes to Warren County, I've heard numbers, and I think Julie would agree, that 75 to 80% of all touches between our public and the county are through the Treasurer's Department. So my decision is based on who I think maybe has an edge relative to customer relationships and taking care of our public and solving, you're right, no one's happy when they get here, so how do we de-escalate and how do we try to give the best experience to our residents as we can? And so my decision will be kind of based on that certain circumstance. So anyway, I'm happy to entertain a motion if you're ready.
I would move appointment of Andrea Semple to fill the vacancy of the Warren County Treasurer's Office until the next election.
Second?
Okay, we do have a motion and we do have a second. Can we get roll call, please?
McIntyre.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye. Congratulations and
Thank you, Cindy.
welcome to Warren County as a new treasurer. Okay, so that's that particular agenda item. The next item on our agenda is the supervisor's report, and I'll just briefly say that I've been on vacation for most of the last 2 weeks. But I did remain active in some facility discussions. There's some things playing out and some new circumstances relative to what the county is going to be doing relative to facilities or things that we're going to be trying to move through the Board of Supervisors. We have a meeting right after this one to sit down and talk about a potential auditorium remodel. And that's one scenario that we've all been looking at for a couple months. So we're going to look at some drawings and see some numbers and meet our architects and things like that. The other thing that I've been working on is the potential transition for dispatch to go out from underneath the sheriff and under a new board. So I've had some meetings relative to that in the last couple weeks. But with those 2 items and the 9 days of vacation, that pretty much sums up my activity.
All right, I'll go second. Of course, we had a closed session right after our last board meeting and went on a trip with our engineer on a project update. FY 225 county budgeting update webinar put on by the ISAC. And then I also attended a Fire Chiefs Association meeting. And that was where we put together the EMS committee to explore bringing EMS as a rural service to Warren County. Also attended the Winter District 1 Supervisor ISAC meeting, and along with the FY25 budget update, previously mentioned the Iowa Government Finance Initiative, which was also put on by the state. I attended that, and that's my report.
Thank you, Crystal.
Well, as we get to the end of the year, guess what? We start to talk about budgets. And so as a result, I've been involved with a couple of different activities that have centered around talking about upcoming budget issues and legislative affairs in particular that are coming up. I did participate in the Greater Des Moines Partnership legislative briefing this last week. There were a number of legislators that were there. They had a regular panel discussion and things about that. There will be also, they laid out the federal agenda. In Warren County, we do have federal issues that will impact us. You know, we talked a little bit ago about the Norwalk sewer trunk line and that sort of stuff that's coming through. Those items will have federal impact because the EPA has to sign off on some of those things as well. And also, as we look to the future, we're starting to make plans for future arterials, road arterials and things like that, and designations of Highway 565 as an interstate highway and all those types of things. So we are going to have some federal agenda issues that are going to be impacting us here in Warren County in a positive way. But we cannot sit back and be absent from those conversations. So we, as you know, are part of the MPO and also the CERTPA group. The MPO had a special meeting this last week, which deals with the search firm that has now been hired for the replacement of the executive director of the MPO. So we've had to now set aside a meeting date. I will be involved, assuming that I'm reappointed to that role on the policy committee on February 15th. I'll be sitting in on that search effort that we're doing. They hope to have the new executive director of the MPO Metropolitan Planning Organization in that role, identified by April 1st. So it's kind of a pretty fast timeline, but they've hired an outside firm to actually do it. I think it's an open process. We had expressed some concerns earlier that maybe the process that led up to where we are today was not as open as it could have been. And the board basically took back control and says, no, we're not going to do this behind the scenes. In fact, it was written down as a bully approach to hiring somebody new. And so I'm very, I think the process that we're going through is the right way to do it. And we'll come out with, I think, good candidates as a result of that. That's an important position because it impacts us and our road monies that are available to us in the planning efforts. And the MPO, as we talked with those folks here this last month, they're going to be probably expanding their boundaries more into Warren County than what they have been in the past. And so, I mean, we're not only talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, but potentially millions of dollars of funds that potentially could be impacting Warren County. That's why this stuff is important. We also are part of the Central Iowa Regional Transportation Planning Agency, and we had a special meeting yesterday, which was to deal with amendments to some projects. There were 3 in particular. I couldn't help but think about what we did just a few moments ago when we were talking about our conservation project, the TAP funds. We actually approved 3 different projects yesterday as a board to amend those projects to allow them to get those extra funds that relate through different programs. And they were throughout this central Iowa area. So they were not just in Polk County as an example or something like that. They were in other locations as well. In fact, I think one was down in Pleasantville, one was up, I think, close to Boone, and then there was one in Des Moines otherwise. So.
Great.
So, anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on that way. We talked a little bit about, you touched on the legislative agenda here, the ISAC meeting the other night, where we got together with the county supervisors from really quite a large region. It goes all the way from, we had folks from clear up at Fort Dodge, way out to Carroll. We were probably the furthest south in the area, but there were supervisors from that entire region. I think it's Region 8, isn't it? Yes.
Region 1.
Region 1, whatever. Anyway, we met with legislators and our ISAC staff. The one issue that's going to impact us greatly, we've already been talking about it, but I think we've got to continue to keep it on the agenda, is House File 718. And so that was the big discussion point that we had the other night. I think the legislators are understanding that acknowledging it was not a perfect bill. And the impacts, there are some unintended consequences as a result of that. Here in Warren County, we are one of about a half dozen counties that are very adversely impacted by the legislation because we are a growth county. We are one of 6 that grew at a pace greater than 6%. And by doing that, it limits our ability to fund critical activities and infrastructures because of the limitations on revenue. And the revenue growth, it's not that we aren't trying to make sure that property taxes are kept down. We understand that that's a very important thing. Our citizens, each one of us, does not want to raise taxes. But when you have a growing economic pie with a larger tax base to spread the cost of government over, that's a good thing. But yet we're being penalized for that opportunity. So let's take last year as an example. Our revenue, our property tax base grew by about 8%. Well, with the passage of 718, as you know, we're only going to be able to utilize 3%, even though we probably are going to grow at about the same rate as what we did a year ago. So in other words, we're not even able to keep pace with inflation.
Right.
The sad part about all this is the other counties in the state that are growing at a less, they're not growing as fast as we are. How are they going to fund county government? I don't know. How are they going to fund city government? I think those are very tough questions that as we look down the road, we're going to be deciding as Iowans how we are going to fund local government. And I think that this is a serious issue that we're going to have to, whether or not we want to talk about it or not, we're going to have to engage in it. And I think we're all at the same place that the property tax model that we've been using for funding county government, I think people are saying they can't handle any more of the tax that comes through that model. So I think the question is, what is it that we're going to be utilizing then? Or on the other converse side, what are we going to have to strip away that is maybe a nice to do thing, but not a have to do thing? That and we live a very good lifestyle here in Warren County. And so I think we're going to have a tough road here as we go forward this next year. How are we going to fund certain things, if we're going to be able to fund them at all?
Right.
And that's tough to do. So that was my report.
Okay.
Right. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, a lot of hard work to do here in the next couple months. It's now time for our public input. The last section of our meeting today, comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual. The board will not take any action on the comments due to the requirements of the open meeting law, but may do so in the future. Is there anybody from the public that wants to talk to the Board of Supervisors about anything?
No.
Okay. Our next meeting date is January 2nd, 2023 at 9:30 a.m.
That's our next regular board meeting, but we'll have an organizational meeting before that.
On the same day.
Correct.
That'll be the same day.
Oh, okay.
Organizational meeting, and then we'll have an organizational meeting and then just a regular board meeting afterwards.
Okay,
It's
great.
the way it's on my calendar right now, unless it's changed. Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second?
Roll call.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye.
Peter? Aye. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you for attending.